This is the all-new Renault Arkana. It's just about to launch here in Ireland. It is longer than a Kadjar, believe it or not, and it's the start of what I'm hopeful is a new wave of styling in crossovers, because it's a grand coupe to look at, yet it still offers a lot of the practicality of a crossover, which generally can just be not that different to a hatchback when you factor in boot space and everything. The boot in this is quite long. We're going to look at that in a second. This is an RS line version of it, and someone commented in other videos to say, can you try and have a look at an RS line version? So that's the one I picked today. You can start from 29,000 euro and you can go right up to nearly 36, which obviously this top of the range one will cost. Around the front, you've got what is Renault's now distinctive headlight and front end. It's not really that different there. What is different is obviously the side profile of the car. You've got a sloping roof line, and then coming towards the back of it, we have this kind of oversized bumper that's part of the body of the car, a very straight down boot. It's not unlike the Citroen C4 that we reviewed in the channel just a few short weeks ago. There is no diesel. It's either mild hybrid or e-tech petrol going on. Generally 140, 145 brake horsepower is the output of the car. This one has paddles, it's an automatic gearbox, and because this is the top of the range, you've got the upgraded alloy wheels, you've got blind spot and cross traffic monitoring going on. You have a nice distinctive black seal on the side of it that again keeps the inside of the doors nice and clean. Generally cars more and more are now coming with that. The boot is really deep, so just have a little look at this, because it's important that you kind of get a perspective of how much extra space this body design gives you. This RS line version is still a manual boot. There's a handle here for grabbing onto it. It does make life a bit easier and you're not touching the dirty outside of the car. The boot is very deep, so there's loads of space. If you lift up this shelf, the edge of the boot holds it into place. There's no hooks to do it, so it's not actually meant to do that. Some sort of clip-in hook would be good to hold it up, but it's not there. But it does mean you have an extra layer of boot space down here where you can tuck things away at a sight. And then underneath, there's actually two huge kind of box areas that you can store extra stuff down here, and you'd never know it was there. So it's almost like there's a 3-level option going on with the boot, and you can obviously pull out this and drop it lower as well if you just want more height in the boot. Rear legroom, we're kind of on a par with the Captor from memory. So you always know when there's big cutouts in the backs of the seats that the rear legroom has had to have a bit of adjustment from the engineers and the designers just to get a few inches going on eating into the back of the actual physical seat. You're well catered for back here. You have an armrest with 2 cup holders. There's 2 USB-C charging ports. There's a 12 volt and there's vents for air also. And the design of the roof, well, it's actually going to come in a little bit on top of rear passengers. I think anyone 6'1" or so will be perfectly fine. Main thing to watch out for is if you have really young child seats with Isofix and the shells on the back of them, those ones for sort of, 6 to 9 month type and above size babies. If you can adjust that front passenger seat, you'll fit one in. If you can't, it might be a bit of a tight squeeze. And definitely legroom, like there's good space for your feet, but legroom not exactly at a premium. Up front in the Arkana, it feels very familiar to Renault owners of the last sort of 3 or 4 years. You get the floating tablet here. I like the red piping and the carbon fibre inside. In fact, even the paddles on the steering wheel make me wonder, will there be an RS proper version or even a trophy version? Because believe it or not, manufacturers are now making hot crossovers, and it would be a shame not to also include it with this. Your displays, again, straight out of any of the more recent Megane models. Same with the climate control, all very familiar. There's wireless charging down here, 2 further USB points, decent room for cups, an electronic handbrake. There's even a space there for your Renault key that will lock the car as soon as you walk away. Just leave it in your pocket. Armrest under here, very small. And it is adjustable, so I like that. You can slide it, but the height of it stays the same. These bucket seats are comfortable, well supported on either side, and in the RS line version you'll have electric adjustment on them. There's even little RS flags, little tags on the sides of the seat, and there's an RS logo down the bottom of the steering wheel. Again, this is the top of the range one, so not all cars are going to get this. You've got CarPlay and Android and your nav, and generally that system is pretty good to use. It doesn't stick too far up over the dash, but it does pop up, and there's nice colour graphics on it. So I think all in all, it's a decent interior. The fake carbon fibre, some people won't mind it, some people will be like, but the materials and plastics used are of decent quality actually. I like that steering wheel. You got perforated bits on the sides here if you go for the RS version. Just a brief shout out to supporters on the channel. If that's a subscription or you want to find out ways you can financially support us with something like €5 a month, there's links in the description box below. And obviously it goes without saying, if you've got any comments or thoughts on this new Arkana model from Renault, please do leave them down below, because more comments, more helps the video to do well. So the mild hybrid and E-Tech versions will always benefit from a bit of extra torque. And you notice that in this automatic gearbox, as soon as you put the foot down, there's a little bit of hesitancy depending on what gear you're in, but generally it gets going pretty quickly. I like the handling on it, it's very, very sharp. So that is definitely one benefit of this design of car, is that you just don't suffer from the same body roll as a crossover can. Bit of a big blind spot thing there going on in your B pillar. Handy if you have blind spot protection in the car. That'll be worth its weight in gold. Iconic, S Edition and RS line, they're the three trim levels that you're going to get. Let me just take a little look. We're doing sort of 8 litres per 100 kilometers. I've no doubt that's going to go down. It's a brand new car, there's 400 kilometers on it, and it's an automatic, and I've literally been driving it for a couple of seconds. But if you do want more fuel economy, then you're going to need to go for the E-Tech version of it. But mild hybrid, what does that do? Well, generally in stop-start traffic and stuff, it just assists the car with pulling away from junctions and makes it all just a little bit smoother and easier to live with. I like this gearbox. Now, a little bit noisy at higher revs, fair enough, but for a car like this that will probably do a lot of driving in the city, then I think everyone should be happy enough. Even though you're not sitting as high up as you might have in a crossover, windscreen is really, really wide. So B pillar aside, and even to a point A pillar, the view out the window is excellent. I find these seats very supportive. Longer journey people should be happy out with them. Rear window, as with the design of a lot of these cars, and I remember in the C4, the big boot spoiler across the back did restrict your visibility. There isn't one here. Obviously Renault factored the boot spoiler into the design of the back of the car, so the visibility is a little bit better on this, but it's still smaller than what you might be used to. Rear view camera will also assist with that and make maneuvering and parking just that bit easier. Lane departure is very good. There's a nice vibrating pulse going through the steering wheel to warn you that you're veering over into the opposite lane. Depending on what spec you go for, this car will have speed sign recognition also, which just is a bit of a godsend when you're on a road that you might be unfamiliar with, or you just spot changes that you're maybe, you're daydreaming driving along. You don't realize that the speed limit has changed, and the big sign in front of you, really, you can't go wrong. Like, handling wise, so this car, I promise you, handles better than a normal crossover, and yeah, it does a little bit. I still don't think you're going to be chucking it around too many bends. Nice levels of torque though. I'd imagine overtaking that kind of motorway driving that you'll sometimes do, that should be really, really easy in this car. Do me a favor, if you are thinking of ordering one of these, go for a bright, vibrant color. I mean, it does look good in grey and black, and what car doesn't look good in black? But equally, there's a really bright orange in it, this red, it really pops and it suits the design of the car. And I think for too long we're all guilty of it, silver, greys, blacks, because they do look well, but I just think, there's a nice punch off brighter colors, and certainly brighter colour in this design of car, it works. I think existing Renault owners, you're going to like it, because even if you were to maybe shift out of a Kadjar into one of these, the main difference for me will be the rear leg room. everything else is going to feel either better or similar. I mean, the boot, certainly, I don't feel you're going to be compromising there at all. Driving position, arguably better. Handles a little bit better. Is it a better looking car? Kadjar still, I think, looks fresh enough, but I just think this new style of Grand Coupe for crossovers is where it's at, and we're going to see more and more manufacturers come out with this kind of design, I think. So yeah, let me know, what do you think? For a €99 deposit, you can pre-order and pre-register your interest in one of these cars, and then delivery, which really, I suppose, people are now in September looking ahead to January for a new plate, and I think 99 quid deposit, get it down. You'll be able to probably get a trade-in at this stage that will be valid for 2022. What do you think of the style of it? What do you think of the looks? I mean, inside there's no major change to what's currently existing within Renault's lineup. So inside here, I feel it's more of the same. Certainly outside body styling is where the biggest changes will have happened. So I hope you've enjoyed this very early first look review of the new Renault Arkana. Do hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and any comments or questions you have, that is what the comment section is for. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.